recommend for like a touring rock band to tour with a PA or
No.
cross venues for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're playing a place that doesn't have a PA, you probably just you could find something.
Sure.
Play acoustic that night.
There you go.
Acapella, yeah.
So I mean, in terms of it'll always change venue to venue, but I mean then pretty much are you looking at that's usually part of I guess the situation with most clubs that you go to that they will have at least something in terms of a sound system that all you really should bring is your sound guy. You don't really need, I mean other than your equipment, your amps, you really don't need to bring along like PA speakers, anything that just a sound guy that can sit there. I guess based on that, you know, how do you guys, what's one of the best ways I guess to really have the diplomacy between like, because I don't know, some venues I know I've dealt with where they actually have a sound guy that does everything and they've said like, listen, you don't even need to have a sound guy, we're going to take care of everything. I know some bands that I've played with where they bring in their own sound guy and they say, listen, no one else is touching it. We don't care if it's your equipment, it's our sound guy. I guess, you know, what's the diplomacy in there? Is it just, you know, feel it out at every venue?
Well, that should all be arranged before you arrive. You know?
Yeah.
That's part of the negotiation. I mean, the club, in fairness to the club, they have to understand and agree to that. You know, if they don't, you don't want to get into that. You know, as you're loading stuff in, have this argument. That's not a good way to start.
You should never have to stand for that. There should never be a club that tells you that their sound guy that is asinine. You never just say that they don't know your band, they don't know the way you're supposed to sound. I mean, they can help your guy, but that should never.
Especially at a festival like, you know, Summerfest. No offense to anyone, but I wouldn't want a Summerfest sound guy to mix on day 11 at 4 o'clock because they're burnt out. They're probably deaf. They're tired of bands. You know. But I mean something like that, and that's the same thing with your sound man. If you have someone who knows your band better than the house sound guy, it can make life easier.
Yeah, wouldn't you as a club owner almost prefer it?
Yeah, unless the guy's really bad, and sometimes the touring guy is deaf. Everything's that no, we don't need to have the gas station here when they're filling up. We want to get people in, not have it free across the street. So but sometimes then the house guy tells them, you don't need to crank it here. So that's sometimes an issue. You get a sound guy that just, and also, if you're going to carry a sound guy, make sure he's a good sound guy, not just like your best friend from high school that you feel bad for, and then he ends up being a bad sound guy. So like you're saying with being friends, who's going to tell him he's no longer needed? Or if he gets drunk every night before he mixes.
Yeah, drunk sound guys.
Yeah, drunk sound guys.
But I would let the club know beforehand that if you're going to bring someone, because some of these people are hiring these people per night, and the sound guy is expected to get paid, and so if you show up and you've got your own guy, and you're like, oh no, we're covered, and it's just bad. It's just bad business.
We've got about a little over 5 minutes left in this session. Any other questions that you guys would
Light
like?
guys can drink though. Have
If we have
light
any other-
guys drink.
Any other questions you'd like to
That
ask?
makes a better show if they're drunk, but not sound guys. Sorry, John.
You're fine. It was a drunken one. What? Still am. Any other questions? We've got about 5 minutes left. If any of you guys out there, how many of you are in bands? How many of you have toured? Come on, you can maybe raise your hand.
Scott's like,
Successfully or not?
Thank you.
Let's talk about that for a little bit. Success, I mean, you can't determine that based on numbers. It's got to be about what it means to you. How important the music is. Sharing that with other people. Don't worry about
That was fun.
Peter, any final advice for the bands that show up at clubs?
Just, most venue staff and sound guys will be really good and friendly, but some you could be gruff and had a bad day. Everyone has a bad day, but just sort of go with the flow. And if, like I said, they ask you to do something, just do it. I mean, first impressions mean a lot. There are some bands that have drawn 30 people, and they're the nicest people, and the staff loves them that will invite back. And there's some bands that have drawn 200 people that all of us can't stand, and might not want to have them back just because no one needs to have a bad day. So
Any other questions, you guys? Well, I think you should thank our panelists. Stick around.